Coming up on this week's edition of Beyond the Arc with Coach Gebbia, presented by GEICO, we'll talk about getting back on the court after a COVID shutdown, look at the two seniors on the roster, and we'll look forward to this weekend's games against Loyola Maryland. All of that coming up after this.
Tasha, did you know GEICO could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip-hop group tag team to help you plan dessert?
French vanilla, rocky road, chocolate peanut butter cookie dough. Scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop shakalaka, 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 shaka, scoop shakalaka, shakalaka, shakalaka.
GEICO. Switch today and see all the ways you could save.
And welcome into the show, Dan Laing, alongside Coach Gebbia. And Coach, got to be happy to finally be through the COVID situation that you guys have dealt with for the last 2 weeks, and at least you're back on the floor. But one of the things that not a lot of people realize is, no games, yes, but also no practices. And how has the team responded to now finally being back on the floor?
I mean, honestly, Dan, they're thrilled to be back on the court. I think, they handled it well, the quarantine. Obviously, we were allowed to give them somewhat of a workout, what they could do in their rooms and things like that. But, you have a couple of kids in isolation, you have a couple of kids or the rest of the team in quarantine. And, I was just hoping they got caught up on their homework, right? So when it gets back to basketball, we can really focus on the basketball court. But yeah, it's a progression now that we have to go through with the players in isolation and also with the players in quarantine. So, it was a gradual reintroduction to basketball, I guess is probably the best way to say it. And, it's tough. Practice hasn't looked great so far, but I think it's just getting used to running up and down the floor a little bit, being winded, wearing the mask again, because in games we haven't had to do that. And I think it's going to take some time, but I'm glad we have these 5 days to get ready for Loyola coming up.
And when you talk about that, I mean, one of the things is, chemistry. And obviously, the season was already an abbreviated season. So players weren't around each other as much as they normally would be. And then, some of these stoppages and other things that have sort of entered in. How has the chemistry sort of moved forward through that? And has there been any creative ways that you guys have tried to keep the chemistry going?
Right. I mean, I think, they all do live with each other, and whether it's apartments or on-campus housing. So that's helpful, even though they're supposed to be separate, and they are in their rooms and stuff. We tried to do like a watch party, watching Loyola and Lafayette play each other on Wednesday when our position groups. That's really, I really wanted them, though, to kind of step away a little bit and kind of refocus their energy in their academics, because they don't usually get that time in the season. So we did a community service. We also did that, which I thought was really nice. We did it with Katie Moreni's 5th grade class through Zoom. So, bringing an alumni back into the fold was kind of nice. And then having our whole team on there to do like a book read was really fun for them. And I think our team really enjoyed that. So that was helpful. And it was in the middle of the week, so it was kind of a nice break for them. So yeah, we tried to do that, but honestly, I really wanted to kind of step away a little bit and let them kind of have their time, because they see me enough, especially when we're back on the court. So now that we're back in the full swing, I'm sure they wish they had some more time to themselves.
Well, and from there, this week is going to bring about Senior Day. It's going to happen Saturday at 4:00, the game against Loyola Maryland. You have two seniors on the roster, India Sanders to Kenya Cleveland, and our senior executive producer of the show, Sam Rankus, a few days ago sat down and spoke with them about their careers as an Eagle.
I've grown the most in terms of leadership, from being like silent freshman, just trying to stay in my lane, not overstep, to being a captain senior year. And I always said that I wasn't a leader. I'd rather, lead by example, but with this year, I've definitely gained a vocal leadership role, and trying to step up when the team needs a sense of direction or guidance. And so leadership has definitely been one of the areas of improvement for me personally.
Most special thing the team has given me, just permission to be myself, of learning how to use my voice in the best way. Anyone on the team can tell you, I am very vocal. I say what's on my mind. But what they've given me is permission to do that. permission to grow, and just really embracing me. And hopefully that's something that as I move on throughout my career that I can bring into any situation that I'm in.
And of course, those two players accomplished a lot in their time at AU, getting to the NCAA tournament, also playing in a WNIT game. And Meg, just talk about what they have meant to this program.
Leadership is probably the first thing that crosses my mind. Both of them are pretty good leaders and really understand what we ask of them every day in practice, in games. They understand the system. You know, I've had to move India around and play different positions her whole career, and she's never done it with a complaint. I mean, she smiles and she knows that she doesn't always want to play the point, but she'll do it because it's what's best for the team. And that's just kind of a culmination of what those two players are about. And TK's just intelligence and Indy's intelligence. We're going to really miss that. And just the experience that, like you're talking about with the NCAA tournament, the NIT, like you want those players in your program to show that the younger kids, this is how we get there. This is what we have to do in order to get there. So with their graduation, you know, we're going to miss that type of leadership and just excellence in how they attack practice every day, how they attack games and the seriousness of it. And they're fun to be around as well. And they like to laugh and joke. And I'm going to miss the fun times we've had.
And you've talked about how they are a pair of the smarter players you've had. Not that you necessarily want to subtract anybody in particular, but that they really are intelligent both on and off the floor. They bring that component as well to it, which of course
Great
is an
students.
important part.
Yeah, great students, and just understand the game and can teach each other. Like they can talk to one another and figure things out, but they can also teach the younger players. And that's what you want. When there's breaks in practice, you want them, you know, getting in somebody's ear saying, well, this is what you should have done instead of that. And we're missing some of that because we don't have TK here this year. India's doing her part by all stretches. But again, she's a one person, right? So it's hard to be that one person trying to get in everyone's ear. But hopefully she's passing along that type of leadership to the juniors and then the juniors to the sophomores. And that's how you build a great program. And I think they've had success, and obviously they want to see success with this team this year. And we're hoping that we can pull something off here at the end of the year.
And with TK having opted out this year, what have you lost just by not having her around the program at practices and obviously able to, you know, play in some games here and there?
Yeah, I think just putting a post that has experience in the game and missing that. And obviously what I said earlier is just her being able to coach her position, so to speak, and tell people what they need to do and where to go. And just, she's really good at pumping people up in mid game, like coming in and out of a timeout or into a timeout. She's in Jade's ear, she's in Fish's ear saying, this is what I see. You're better than this, or just kind of, you know, just making them feel good about themselves, right? I think that's a big piece that we're missing as well. And so it's just another person on the bench too, to help like the energy. Like it feels weird this year. We have 5 people. I turn around, I'm like, man, there's no one there. So just missing bodies is hurting us in some way because we just have a lot of inexperience.
Well, and hopefully you'll gain some experience this weekend by playing the games against Loyola Maryland. The Greyhounds come in. They haven't won a game yet this season. And when you take a look at that, as a coach, does that scare you a little bit? Does that kind of, you think, make you a little uncomfortable?
They're so close too. They've been in a lot of games and they don't quit. So, you know that that's what you're facing. And yet here we are coming off quarantine. I'm concerned about our conditioning level, and they've been playing. So you're worried about that matchup going in and how we'll handle back-to-back games, you know, with not a lot of prep, so to speak, in the sense of the progression that we've had to go through. And they're getting better. I think Loyola is getting better. And I'm trying to, you know, show that through film. I'm trying to talk about that when we go through things in practice. And our team is hungry. Don't get me wrong. They're really hungry for these next couple wins because this is pod games. This means everything to us. And we have got to at least split, but obviously you're going for both wins. And I guess I'm kind of glad that our first game is at home this weekend after a huge layoff like that.
Does the short turnaround, is that also something? Because you have the 4:00 game on Saturday and then a 1:00 game up in Baltimore on Sunday. Does that present any concern for you or not really at this point?
It does, because we haven't had to do that yet this year. Usually it's like, the first game's at 2 and you're playing at 4. So there's a 24-hour rest period. So this is less than 24-hour rest period. The good thing is I'll have all 10 players. So maybe I can sub a little bit more than I have in the past games and rest people a little bit more throughout the course of the game. But it will be nice to have all 10 and be able to sub in, and maybe that will help as we head into Sunday's matchup. But yeah, I do think it hurts a little bit, but you know what? Loyola has to do it too. So we're both in the same boat.
Yeah. And you have Emily Fisher, which is going to be huge.
Yeah, breaking pressure, just having that leadership at the point guard position. People pay attention when Fish is out there. And it's kind of nice to have that back. And, she's working as hard as she can in practice. It's been 5 weeks since she's played. So I'm hoping that it's not just going to smack her in the face. But regardless, she will play hard the entire time she's in. Whether or not she makes mistakes, so be it. But she's gonna work through it as we go through the game, both games.
So it's been almost a month between games. When you think about it, look at film and all that, what are a couple of your GEICO keys to the weekend coming up?
Handling their pressure is number one. I think if anything, you've watched us the last time we played them and Navy has been without Fish out there. It's been a little bit of a struggle for us. Their full court pressure, their run and jump has been a struggle. And then, if I'm watching Loyola the last couple of weekends, a lot of zone. I'm seeing a lot of zone from them, whether it be 2-3 or 1-3-1. So us being able to execute and take good shots against their zone defense, I think are probably the two biggest keys for us. And then just our wind and our energy, and can we play defense? Like, I'm worried we're going to go back to what we looked at, like against Lehigh that first weekend. Like, it's such a long layoff. A month seems like forever to me, that I'm hoping that we do understand what it's like to play games now. So that's good. And it's just bringing the energy and understanding that they will make it through. I promise. Even if I have to call timeouts and use all of them, I will in order to rest them.
Well, we'll see how it all shakes out this weekend. Eagles are home at 4:00 on Saturday, and then on Sunday on the road up in Baltimore. That'll do it for this edition of Beyond the Arc with Coach Gebbia, presented by GEICO. For Coach, I'm Dan. We'll see you next week.